There are all of these things that you can do in a relationship to build the relationship. But in essence, it comes down to giving before getting. Where does selling begin? Like, what is the first thing you have to do to make more sales? This is something that not enough people ask. Not enough people who are in sales or business development or whatever term you want to use even think about this question. Where does selling begin? Like, what's the very first step? What is the first thing you have to do? And the people who do ask that often have the wrong answer. Here's the answer that most salespeople have. We think that selling begins with lead generation, right? How do I develop a lead? Now, lead generation is super critical, super important. It's something that we spend a lot of time teaching at Brand Builders Group, but that's not actually the first step in generating sales. There is a step before lead generation, which you don't hear enough about. And it's a simple concept. It's a simple word. It's a word that you have heard your whole life. It's just probably not one that enough of us have intentional enough focus on in generating sales. And so what is the first step? What is this word that I'm talking about? It's super simple. The word is relationships. Relationships. When we think of selling, so many of us think of all of the new prospects that we're going to sell to. And we think that that is what sales is that it's, oh, I need more leads. I need new people to talk to, which is true. But the reason why people struggle with lead generation, which is the number one thing that every salesperson and sales team struggles with, is not enough leads, is because they're thinking, okay, how do I go find new strangers and try to get them interested? And your mind immediately goes to like all these cold methods of, whatever. I can knock on doors, I can send cold emails, I can, post random stuff on social media. And a lot of those things you should do and you need to do anyways. But the fastest path to cash in a sale, the shortest distance between where you are and generating commission or revenue or earnings, is not through lead generation, but through relationships. Here's what I mean by that. The best form of lead generation in any business is referrals. Okay, you probably know that much. The best form of lead generation in any business is referrals. But you can't just automatically go, oh, where do referrals come from? Referrals don't appear out of thin air. Referrals come from people you have relationships with. And if you don't have deep relationships with your network, then you don't have a pond to fish in, if you will, for good referrals. Like you have to build this well of relationships. You have to build these great connections, these deep relationships with the people you already know before you can pull referrals out of them, so to speak. And that's what we all want to do, right? We join sales. We want to make quick money. We want to get referrals right away, and we're just like kind of off and running, which isn't a bad thing. You should have urgency to make money and to generate leads, and you should have urgency to focus on referrals, which a lot of people are terrible about how to ask for referrals. I'll put together another video, lesson and tip for you on how to do that. But before you can even ask for referrals, you got to have people to ask for those referrals from, which are relationships. And here's the greatest key of all to relationships. And this is the thing that I want you to understand and know and apply to your life, because most salespeople don't do this. The key to relationships is that you have to build relationships before you need them. You have to build relationships before you need them. Too many times, people who are in sales are trying to extrapolate or extract referrals from people that they don't have great relationships with, and then they can't understand why they don't get more referrals, or why they don't get better quality referrals, or why it's so hard to even ask for referrals. And it's not, it has something to do with whether or not you're asking and how you're asking, for sure. I'll cover that in a separate training. But what it really has to do with is the relationships, the people that you're asking for referrals from. You don't have the credibility with them yet. You don't have a true depth of connection. You don't have trust established as much as you think. Because if you did, it wouldn't be so hard to ask for referrals. It wouldn't be so hard to get referrals, and it wouldn't be so hard to get more referrals. And so before you can get referrals, getting referrals is drinking from the well. It's pulling water out of the well. You need to build the well first, which means you have to build relationships before you need them. If you don't build relationships with people, then when you go to try to pull referrals, there's not going to be anything there. There's no water in there because there's no trust. In this metaphor, the well, okay, like the well is the relationship, and the depth of the well is all about trust. It's how much trust do you have, and then the water that you extract is referrals. So you have to build relationships before you need them. Now, how do you do that? How do you build relationships before you need them? Simple. You give. The key to building relationships is to give. You help them. You give them referrals. You do things for them. And people always go, well, what do I do for them? Like, I don't know what to do. There's tons of things that you can do. Okay, you can give them favors, you can give them education, you can give them endorsements, you can give them training, you can give them advice, you can give them encouragement, you can give them recognition, you can give them celebration, you can give them promotion. Like, those are all things that you can give to somebody, right? Now, you can also spend money on things for them. Right? Like you can give them meals, you can give them gifts, you can pay them referral fees, you can give them experiences, you can donate to their charities, you can send them equipment or technology. Those things cost money. But then the other thing is you can introduce people to them. You can introduce them to vendors. You can refer people to join their team. You can, as I mentioned, give them referrals. You can share clients. You can share media opportunities. There are all of these things that you can do in a relationship to build the relationship. But in essence, it comes down to giving before getting. If it's a relational bank account, you have to make deposits before you make withdrawals. And the way that you make deposits is by giving, and you have to give first, and you build those relationships, you build that trust, you serve first, and then once you have built that relationship, then you can ask, then you can take, then you can receive, then you can get. So relationships precedes referrals. Relationships precede referrals. If you're not getting enough referrals, it's probably because your relationships aren't as deep as you think.